Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Where's the Tacos little podcast. This is the scouting report for the Cleveland Cavaliers after the Charlotte Hornets. Today, I saw the game between Toronto Raptors and the Boston Celtics. The Cleveland Cavaliers will play the Boston Celtics after the Charlotte Hornets. I already did a preview for the Charlotte Hornets, so if you'd like to see that preview, it's just go ahead and get out of this video and go into the other one that I have on my file. Should be the one right before this one. Excuse me. Wow. So, going today's game. RJ Barrett had a phenomenal game. Portal had a phenomenal game as well. Both of them gave their all to the game, and they just fell 3 points short. Jason Tatum hit a game buzzer winner, literally with 1 second left on the clock. He threw it up. He made it. They win. I will say it was a very fascinating game to watch because I felt like Boston was giving them their best. Boston was giving their best against Toronto. They were 2 men short from their roster. They didn't have Porzingis or Drew Holiday playing today. I think Drew Holiday was resting and Porzingis, still injured. I will say if those 2 guys were playing today, it would probably been a completely different outcome. And I think it would have been a blowout. The way they play, the way they move the ball, the cohesiveness that the Celtics have does draw a lot of concern as a Cavs fan. So as a Cavs fan, I'm trying to compare apples to oranges or apples to apples and see where we can have the advantage on the Boston Celtics. And it's very, very slim, the advantages that we have, because when we go man for man, there's pros and cons to both. So we'll go ahead and go down that list of people that match well and how they cancel each other out, or what I think the other person can do better. So we got Drew Holiday is their starting point guard. We have Darius Garland as our starting point guard. And Drew Holiday is a better defender, not as lethal offensively, but if left open, he can knock down the 3. Drew Holiday does know how to make the smart plays, veteran player, experienced player, and knows how to win games. Darius Garland, on the other hand, last year he wasn't doing so great. This year he's performing at an all-star level again. He's knocking down his threes, knocking down his mid-range shots, and also looking for Jared Allen on the lobs. So he's diversified his game a little bit again this year, and it's been very, very effective for the Cleveland Cavaliers. There are times where I have concerns with Darius Garland, where he becomes lackadaisical, wants to walk the ball up, and he wants to play that slow pace of basketball that I don't think is convenient for the Cleveland Cavaliers because of the type of personnel we have. We just don't have a D and 3 player, a small forward that can actually handle the ball the way he needs to, and we have a lot of spot-up shooters, which means if you walk up the ball, essentially you're giving the defense plenty of time to set their defense up and not allowing us to effectively attack a defense that's not set and ready to established on the other side. The reason why I love when Donovan Mitchell runs the point guard position. But I digress on the point guard position. Now we have Jaylen Brown and Donovan Mitchell. Jaylen Brown is a bigger shooting guard than Donovan Mitchell. Some would say he's a small forward, but he plays shooting guard, small forward and shooting guard back and forth with White. Jaylen Brown is definitely stronger, bigger than Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, I believe, is a better offensive player, but Jaylen Brown knows how to get his shots and knows how to find his spots on the floor, and very good at defense. Donovan Mitchell, he does well on defense. He is not better than Jaylen Brown on defense, but I feel like both of them cancel out, and either one can be plus or minus 2 or 3 points, up or down, whichever way you want to go on any given night with each other. Then we have White. He will either cancel out with Okoro and Dean Wade together, or Karis LeVert can match him 1-for-1, and also be just as effective as White. At the power forward position, they would have Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum will then be with Evan Mobley. Jason Tatum offensively is a better player today, not overall in career-wise. Today, I think Jason Tatum is still a little bit better than Evan Mobley when it comes to finding the spot on the floor, getting buckets. Evan Mobley has a tendency to disappear in some quarters, in my opinion. He's like a silent creeper. Like, he'll give you the first quarter or he'll give you the second quarter. He won't give you both. And then he'll disappear for the third quarter, show back up in the fourth quarter. So those are those tendencies that I feel like with time and experience and growth, Evan Mobley will get to the point where we're talking about like Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is the type of guy where he sees his team is falling back. He takes the initiative to bring his team back to where it needs to be at. And then we have Jared Allen, Al Horford. Al Horford is a very underrated center. He can definitely spread the floor, bring Jared Allen out of the game, or bring Jared Allen out of the paint a little bit, stretch him out, and then our paint becomes a little bit weak because our backcourt is just not big enough and strong enough to keep Tatum and to keep Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday out of the paint in this case. So we would have to play the passing lanes, but not overcommit on the passing lanes, because the same way you overcommit, you can get into foul trouble, run into people, and then you get stuck on the pick. And you can't really switch on this team. If you switch, you got to switch fast. You can't be late on the switches. You got to be perfect when you play the Boston Celtics. They're coached very, very well. Plus, they have tons of experience when playing in adversity and against different sizes and matchups. So, Karis LeVert, Ty Jerome, and even Niang, unfortunately, I don't think anybody past our 10th roster spot is better than Niang yet. But I would love to see Ty Jerome in the rotation against Pritchard. If Porzingis comes back, I think the Boston will have an upper leg on us, because Porzingis adds another weapon, another firepower, and it stretches the floor out, making our interior defense a little bit weaker, which means, it's going to be who's willing to sacrifice a little bit more in that scenario. So Boston, to me, is still the better team because of experience and the veterans they have, and the proven DNA, or the proven their authenticity, and the proven offense and defense that they have. But can Cleveland pull this out? Absolutely. If they grow overnight and they fix those small tendencies, those bad habits, if they fix those little bad habits that they have when they play in the regular season and don't bring it into the playoffs, and everybody's locked in, willing to sacrifice, willing to dive, willing to put their body in front of Jaylen Brown, in front of Jason Tatum, then, and take those charges and take those hits, and, willing to put their body to the defenders well, challenge them at the rim, then we can definitely match up and beat them and trust each other. But if we overcommit, we all crash the paint, they kick it out, the threes are open, forget about it. It's game's over. I think what we really need, and this is where I feel the Max Strus either can help us or break us. If Max Strus comes back and the cohesiveness is not there, it would be very detrimental to bring him back into the roster and add him to the rotation if the cohesiveness is not there. If Max Strus is willing to take the back seat and play that shooting guard position, and rotate out with Karis LeVert and Ty Jerome, I think then that's a win-win situation for us. But looking at how RJ Barrett was able to manhandle some of these players in the paint, he was still outperformed by Jaylen Brown and Tatum. But you saw the impact that a true small forward would bring to a team if you had him. So if RJ Barrett was on the Cleveland Cavaliers, forget about it. Cleveland, I don't like his style of game, but if we had a guy that size at small forward and that can put the ball in the basket and also defend at his size, then Cleveland would be a perfect team. But those are hypotheticals, and I don't live in a hypothetical world. So I do see this matchup is going to be a banger next week. And it's going to be a banger in the playoffs. When the Boston Celtics and the Cavs clash in the playoffs, that is going to be an epic series to watch. And it can go either way. I'm calling it 7 games either way. The games will be win-loss by 10 points or less, maybe even 5 points or less. And it's scary because, you get all these win streaks all you want, but if you don't beat the Boston Celtics, it just don't matter, And I believe that's going to be the finals before the finals. And that's my position. I feel it's going to be Cleveland and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it's going to go 7 games. Because, some days you got it, some days you don't. So if you like this content, go ahead and hit the like button. If you like this content, go ahead and hit the follow button. This is Where the Tacos. I'll be uploading this on YouTube, and I'll be giving you post-game, pre-games, and scouting reports as I go. This is what I want to do, and then if you like it, go ahead and hit that follow. Good night, y'all.